This is me heartily recommending you read Still Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. There are lots of books available that are designed to help you be more creative and to get off your backside and do something productive. And generally this is the kind of book that I don't really go for because I end up feeling worse than I did before I started. By the time I've heard about how creative someone else is, I start to get really upset about my own lack of creativity. I think, well, why am I not as productive as they are, and how come I'm just sat staring at the window all the time feeling sorry for myself? But Still Like an Artist isn't that kind of book. It doesn't make you feel bad about yourself. In fact, it makes you feel really quite empowered. It doesn't beat you over the head with some kind of productivity stick. Instead, it gives you practical, useful things that you can go away and do. I find it fits rather nicely alongside two other books of mine that I really like. The first one is Rework by Jason Fried and the team at 37 Signals, and the other one is The Art of Thinking Sideways by Alan Fletcher. Those books are actually quite different, but they are both inspiring in the sense that they make you want to go away, look at what you do, look at how you work, and make a change. And that was my overriding feeling after reading Still Like an Artist. I thought, well, this is how I do things now. Maybe if I give that a try, I'll do things slightly differently and it'll probably be better. And in that way, the book provided lots of eureka moments where I was reading along thinking, of course, why have I not done that before? That's a really good idea. That's exactly what I should have been doing for the last, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. So what I thought I'd do is give you my top 3 takeaways. These are the 3 things that I'm doing now that I wasn't doing before I read the book. I'm a writer, but you could be a video person, you could be an audio person, you could be a painting person, whatever it is. These 3 things that I'm about to talk about, I think are going to be quite useful. Number 1 is start a logbook. So it's like a diary, I think, but slightly shorter. But it doesn't have to be that, it could be anything you want it to be. But the idea is to keep a record of what you do every day, just so that you can look back and piece together, I guess, the fragments of whatever has led you to become wherever you are. In the book it refers to using pen and paper to do this. I've chosen to use the app called Day One, which is available for the Mac and for iOS, and I chose that because I can do it basically on the bus on the way home quite easily, just take out my phone, tippy tap tap, and also because I can take pictures. So I've got the kids, so I can take pictures of the kids and say, hey, look what we did on this particular day. Number 2 is to have 2 workspaces, an analog workspace and a digital workspace. This is something that I have no idea why I've not done this before. But basically the idea is that you have a space for your computer and then get rid of the computer and have another space where you just use pen, paper, scissors, post-it notes, whatever you can get your hands on basically. It's a little known fact that A is for Angelica, my novel, was written or at least structured with the use of a wall and post-it notes. And so I used to do this all the time. I was doing that in one way or another, but I kind of stopped once I finished the novel. It was really useful towards the end to try and piece everything together, but I've no idea why I didn't do that right at the start. So I'm going to have an analog desk and a digital desk. And finally, number 3 is to not throw any of yourself away. I don't know if that's the exact expression used in the book, but it's the idea that we quite easily give things up because we want to do something very specific. So in my case, I want to write a second novel, therefore I very often give up lots of other stuff in my life that I actually quite enjoy. Now, part of the reason for this is because I've had twin babies, we know this. But there are other things that I've given up and I don't really need to. So I've not played football, for example, for quite some time, about a year, and yet it's something I've loved doing for years and years and years. I've also stopped playing video games. I mean, imagine that. And that's something that I did for years and years and years. And I'm not saying that I should be doing those things all the time, because that is a bit of a problem productivity-wise, but there's no real reason to give up parts of yourself in order to kind of achieve another goal all the time. So the main takeaway there for me is about balance. It's about trying to find space for other things in your life and not focusing completely on one thing to the detriment of other stuff. And the examples that I used were quite social activities really, but it might be a second project or something like that you want to get going because you are working too intensely on whatever it is that you consider your main thing. Having a bit of variety is really important, and not giving things up for the sake of it, I think, can be really important as well. So that's really all I wanted to say. It's a fantastic book, very short, very easy. You can pop it in your handbag or your satchel, or maybe a very large pocket, and I think you'll be very pleased with what you end up getting out of it. In the space of around 50 minutes, the sun has gone from one side of the sky right to the other side of the sky, and that's why my face has a funny colour.